Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Download the Wendy's app today.
Well, welcome on in. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. This is not Steve Sparky Pfeiffer. If you are expecting him, he will be on sabbatical for the day. Of course, Tommy Wirtz here with you, joined by the ones and twos master himself, Mr. Charlie Usen. Good afternoon, Chuck.
I appreciate the master moniker. You know,
I mean,
I don't get that too often around
I
here.
would never give it to anyone else who sits in that chair, and I'm the only other person that ever sits in that chair. So congrats on the master title for the producers. What right now, Charlie, Sparky's going to be out today and Thursday, correct, right? So it'll be me and you on Tuesday and Thursday, a little weekend reunion, draft show reunion, and any other shows that no one else wants to work reunion, I guess, here. But it's going to be a great show today. We have a little bit of a tradition whenever it is me filling in for Mr. Pfeiffer. We always get our guy, Jovan Alford, fan-sided, covering the Green Bay Packers. He'll be on at 3:20 today. Ty Windisch going to join us from the Eurostep podcast at 2:20 as we're gonna try so hard to talk about the Bucks and not vomit on the air, because it seems like, Chuck, I don't know where to go when I talk about the Bucks anymore. I'm so lost watching them. I can't even imagine covering them as fully as Ty does.
Jake Fisher shared all these amazing trade targets that they have in mind, apparently. Really cool, awesome pieces.
Yeah, we will bring up some of those trades, because apparently the Bucks are all in on making sure Giannis does not leave, which is a positive. I think that's something to look at this season and think, okay, good, maybe. But other than the 45-point loss to the net, that was like rock bottom. It felt like that was Badgers, Iowa 37-0. Same energy, handshake emoji in between, losing by 45 to the Nets, who are like trying to lose games at this point.
I would argue it's maybe a little worse than that, just because the Badgers were just at that point going up against Iowa. Yeah, you felt maybe a little bit better about them, but you knew they were at rock bottom. You knew that team was just not going to be able to have a very high ceiling for the year. This Bucks team just has these moments where it feels like they are aggressive and they do have this play style that can work. And then other games where they just look like what they looked like against the Nets. But when you have a game 2 days earlier against the Celtics, that feels a lot better, man. I mean, it's weird.
We're going to talk about it all with Ty Windisch of the Eurostep podcast in about 15 minutes or so here. Make sure you guys are checking us out on YouTube, youtube.com/@WI Sports Radio. You can see me and Charlie doing Wisconsin Sports Daily all day. Go back, watch your full shows and all the great interviews and shorts that get put up on there as well. We'll talk some Brewers at the end of this hour, because I am constricted to a show that is mostly football talk, and you guys have yet to have the opportunity to talk about the Angel Zerpa trade with the Kansas City Royals. But it is Packers season. Everyone's still coming down from the loss in Mile High, and to kick things off, let's open it up. 414-677-1250. That is the Nicolay Law talk and text line. If Christian Watson isn't healthy, who are you expecting to pick up this slack on this Packers offense? 414-677-1250. That is the Nicolay Law talk and text line. Mr. Usen, when you are being asked who has to pick up the slack with Christian Watson's health in jeopardy, where does your mind go first?
I mean, immediately my mind goes to the guy that is supposed to be the stud of this team, which is Josh Jacobs on any given basis. I know you always call him one of the most overrated players on the Packers, but that's something that I think is a little unfair. I think if he's healthy in this game, if he doesn't have the same kind of injury designations that he's had for the past couple of games with the Packers going into those games, I mean, he should be an 18 to 25 carry a game guy, especially without your top target out. That has been just a revelation for this offense. So give it back to the Rock.
I always, Josh Jacobs this season, I will preface it is this season, that I feel the same way I feel about Freddie Peralta in a Brewer season. I don't doubt that the rest of the league thinks that Josh Jacobs is one of the best running backs in the NFL. And when I watch Josh Jacobs, I see plays that make me think this guy can be a top 5 running back in the NFL. But there are many occurrences this year specifically. Last year he was great. I find myself wanting more. I just want, maybe it's an offensive line problem. Maybe that's why I feel this way about Josh Jacobs, and he's just reaping the benefit, or the opposite of benefits.
The consequences.
They're the consequences. I don't know where I was going there, but I felt the same way about Freddie Peralta and his starts, right? It's just, yeah, you gave us 5 really awesome innings. Can you go 6? Josh Jacobs, he had a couple of times where it was first downs because they ran the ball twice with him, right? I think that's always a huge plus, is that you don't get to third down and you just ran the football. That's always positive in the favor of the offense and the run game. He had the huge 40-yard run in a massive moment in the game where that really felt like the Packers could take control and then begin to hold that momentum in Denver. Then they went away from him. They took the shot play to Christian Watson. It took the wind out of everyone's sails. I know how big of a deal Josh Jacobs is on the leadership front, but ultimately the execution is what I'm looking at, and I find myself wanting more. Nicolay Law, talking text line 414-677-1250. John and Mequon. John, how we doing today?
Hey, I'm doing great, guys. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Christian Watson, if he's not healthy, who are you expecting to pick up some of this slack, John?
Wow, that's a good one. I'm going to say Romeo Doubs is going to have to pick it up. Dontavian Wicks, some of the wide receivers. I'm also going to say Josh Jacobs needs to be continue to be a big part of the offense. In that Denver game, the Packers, when they were up 23-14, they had the Broncos where they needed them, and they should have continued to just run the ball. And I think the biggest mistake of that game was the play call of trying to throw the ball deep to Christian Watson.
Yeah.
That ultimately got Watson hurt, and Patrick Surtain getting the interception. I thought that was a totally unnecessary play in the game at that point. Packers were up 23-14. We had the momentum. We were running the ball. I would have just continued to run the ball with Josh Jacobs. And, considering that Surtain was one of the best cover guys, I think that was not the right time to do a play like that. Just do what was working, like running the ball with Josh Jacobs. And that's what I think the Packers are going to have to do. But unfortunately, the momentum of the game changed with that one play down deep to Christian Watson.
Yeah, absolutely. You're 100% right. John, thanks for the call, my man.
Thank you.
There he is, John in Mequon. If you want to join us, 414-677-1250. That's the Nicolay Law talk and text line. Charlie, do you know who leads the Green Bay Packers in targets this year?
Probably Romeo Doubs.
It's not even close. It's Romeo Doubs.
I was going to say.
So I understand why you were hesitant with your probably, because over recent weeks it has been all Christian Watson dominating.
He just hasn't played enough yet.
But he has only played 8 games. In the 14 games played, Romeo Doubs has 76 targets. The next closest are 2 guys that have been injured for half the season, with Tucker Kraft at 44 and nearly identical 43 for Christian Watson. Both of those guys have played 8 games right now. That means Dontavian Wicks, Matthew Golden, Luke Musgrave, if you want to count him, Jaden Reed, who's also only played 4 games, Savion Williams, Bo Melton, all of them with significantly less numbers than Romeo Doubs. So while I think when someone is calling for Romeo Doubs to step up, watching him play, another guy that I just don't see it. I don't see him as the one. I see him as a great possession guy, as a guy who you can go to when you need a first down. But comparing his play to Christian Watson's play, Charlie, if you're asking Romeo Doubs to make up for that, I don't think it's possible.
No, not at all. His skill set just does not lean to that as that type of wide receiver. And I think when you look at other guys in that group too, as Dontavian Wicks, the Matthew Goldens as well, those guys have missed time a lot this season too. And there's been times where they've been healthy designations for some of these games. But at the same time, they're healthy scratches in a lot of those games, are only getting limited snaps in a lot of these games. So it feels like Romeo Doubs has just generally been the only guy that's consistently on the field, even if he's not making those big plays happen all the time for him.
Let's go back out to the phone lines. Q in Tosa, you're on Wisconsin Sports Daily. What's up, Q?
What's up, guys? Charlie knows this. I've been pretty hard on the offensive construction this year. I think that, like, Goody put all his eggs in these rookies back, like, on offense this year.
Yeah.
Like, we needed them to step up. And it's nice that Golden made that big catch, but I don't know. To me, I'm starting, like, how much is that Parsons contract?
$188 million.
Yeah, so he bet $188 million on Parsons, and he bet like $200 million on Love, and then he just gives Jordan Love no skilled players. Like, it's nice we have Jacobs, but, like, if Kraft is hurt, he's got nobody on offense, and then you're betting on a guy that has a torn ACL and has been injury prone this whole year. Oh wait, we just extended him too. So, like, I don't, like, I love that we did what we did for Parsons, but it's the defense has to step up because Jordan Love is throwing to a bunch of never wers. And it's I don't know. Like, I like Dobbs. I think he has sure hands, but you're right. He's never going to be a number one unless it's on an obliterated offense like this where there's just nobody else out there.
Yeah. Q, thanks for the call, man. Have a good one. There he is, Q and Tosa. Nicolay Law, talking text line 414-677-1250 if you want to be a part of the conversation. Charlie, I think that if I'm going to give an answer to this, who are you expecting to pick up the most slack? If you got to give me a singular player, I think Jaden Reed's the obvious answer. I think that what we saw out of Jaden Reed beginning last year, you saw the potential in him being a big play wide receiver, whether it was from the slot position, maybe not necessarily outside. But Q brought up the point of, gambling on the rookies. And obviously they used the pick on Matthew Golden in the first round. And then they used the third round pick on Savion Williams. Even more so, Charlie, this is not something that's new because for the third straight year, and I think we've done a great job of, not talking about this. This is the youngest team in the league again. Like, this is continuing to not bring in veteran leadership or bring in anyone other than 28-year-olds getting their second deal in free agency. There's not a lot of guys who have that presence. And I think that where I want to go with the rest of this is if I wanted to say who needs to step up, it's the offensive line just in general. It's something that I think is just the biggest glaring difference from last year's team as opposed to this year's team. When you talk about the Green Bay Packers, it is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. We're talking about who needs to step up in this Green Bay Packers offense, specifically if Christian Watson is unable to go. Charlie, I know you played O-line in college, and whenever Sparky has a question about it, he doesn't touch it, and he defaults to you. But it's something that I've talked about with you plenty of times. And now if Zach Tom is unable to go as well, like this offensive line and Darian Kennard and Jordan Morgan, whoever might be the next man up, it's a huge opportunity for them to step up and prove something, I think, Big Chuck.
It is definitely a huge opportunity, but at the same time, there's a reason I made this question Christian Watson instead of Zach Tom. I feel like if Zach Tom isn't playing in this game, if Zach Tom isn't playing for the rest of the season for some reason or is out for a multitude of games, I mean, I think the Packers are screwed, if I'm being completely honest. I think Darian Kennard cannot come in and do what Zach Tom does.
So you would trade out the health of Zach Tom for the health of Christian Watson for this team?
100%. And I know what Q is getting at with the fact that the talent just hasn't been there. The ceiling on a lot of these players isn't that high. At the same time, I think it's also unfair to say that you're completely counting out a Matthew Golden at this point. You're completely counting out a Jaden Reed at this point. I think those players do have talent and can go out there and make big plays if given the right opportunities. You see it across the league. So far this season, there's been tons of rookie wide receivers that have been able to come in and give juice to their offenses in one half of the season or another, as long as you can just get them into that right system. I think with this Packers offensive line, no, I don't believe in a Jordan Morgan to move around once again on this offensive line. I've seen him move around 3 different times this season, and each time it's been a disaster. We can't have that again. I can't afford to see a Sean Ryan move around or Rasheed Walker go try right tackle. That's what Sparky was talking about. Put Jordan Morgan at left tackle right now and put Rasheed Walker over there and figure it out.
It's not that easy.
It's not that easy. They're different positions. And then also you're just screwing Jordan Morgan over again without giving him that time to prepare.
Right. And I think there needs to be a case study done on the regression of Rasheed Walker. I know he was not all pro and he had to follow up Bakhtiari for what he did.
As a 7th round pick.
Yeah, exactly. As a throwaway type pick. I mean, Samare Toure and Rasheed Walker, same draft class in the 7th round. That's where Samare Toure has lived up to his hype. But last year, I had nothing but good things to say about Rasheed Walker, man. And maybe he was the 5th best of the 5 last year, which I still don't believe, but I never quite understood why they were always phasing him out. It was always, if Rasheed Walker is not back, Jordan Morgan takes his spot. If Rasheed Walker and Jordan Morgan are in this battle for left tackle all training camp to see who's going to play there, I never understood why he should feel so unsettled. And it felt like for the first time this season in Denver, it caught up to him big time. And he had his struggles before this Packers 4-game winning streak. Absolutely too. But an ultimate collapse, it felt like on Sunday, Charlie.
It did feel not great from Rasheed Walker, but at the same time, I mean, you look at just his Pro Football Focus overall grades, he's trailing out at basically the same level that he played at last season and the season before that. He has the same amount of penalties.
What do
as
those
he did last
nerds
year.
know? I don't even there's an obvious difference in his play.
There is, but at the same time, I think it's also because we took the rose-colored glasses off of what we had last season with him. I think last year the Packers go out and drafted Jordan Morgan in the 1st round, and yes, you don't really know where he's supposed to play, but people are saying left tackle, and Rasheed Walker is going out there and outplaying your 1st-round rookie, and you want to give him a lot of credit for them. He's going out there and doing his job and playing a consistent role on a group of guys that were all consistent last year. This year, when you see the other guys not playing as consistently, he's doing the same exact thing. When you need Jordan Morgan to take his spot, essentially, you want him to be in that spot. I think you're just looking at Rasheed Walker differently, but he's the same guy.
414-677-1250. That is the Nicolay Law talk and text line if you want to be a part of the conversation. If Christian Watson is not healthy, who are you expecting to pick up the slack on the offense for the Green Bay Packers? We've had some comments on Josh Jacobs, the offensive line. Jaden Reed, I think if you're looking for the position, there has not been a lot of Matthew Golden, Savion Williams, no rookie talk really on this reliance right now. Let's head back out to the phone lines. Brian is in Racine. Brian, how are we doing today?
Yeah, boys, I'm very positive. Hey, listen, I think the Packers are going to bring it Saturday.
Okay.
Big time. I think next man up.
Who's that next man for you, Brian? Who are you looking at?
I think the whole defense. I think the offense. You know, I'm 65 years old. I'm sorry, but you know, I listened to Mason.
Yeah.
And I believe that this team, after listening to X, and I listened to his comments, and I believe this team is coming back.
All right. Well,
it may not be the Baltimore game, but I think this one game, I truly believe that this team is coming back for one game.
I hope so, Brian. I hope so. Let's do it this Friday as the Brat Bowl. Don't forget as well, the presented by Ziegler Subaru of Kenosha presents the Brat Bowl 3. It is the 3rd installment of the Brat Bowl at the world famous Brat Stop in Kenosha. All day live event starting at 9 a.m. with 670 The Score and the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, featuring all of your favorite on-air talent. Plus, there's a different plus I'm adding here. Charlie Usen. Plus, bring your new or gently used coats to donate to Ziegler Subaru of Kenosha's annual coat drive. Subaru of Kenosha. For a great experience, visit ZieglerKenoshaSubaru.com. And by Siding Unlimited, visit SidingUnlimited.com for their honest price guarantee. All right, we're a little late. We got to get to our guy, Ty Windisch, or as I like to call him, 9-4-1 Windisch. No, sorry, that's the Packers record. It's a tie in there. Talking a little bit of Bucks basketball, and we're going to try not to cry in the process. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Welcome back to Wisconsin Sports Daily. Tommy Wirtz in for Steve Sparky Pfeiffer. Wisconsin Sports Daily served up by Wendy's. In a world of tenders, Wendy's decided to make something more juicy, more crispy, more dippable. New chicken tenders are here. Some may call them tendies, and yes, it's fun to say, even more fun to eat. And Wendy's new chicken tendies come with an insane new sauce lineup, new Wendy's signature sauce, sweet chili, or scorchin' hot. Choose one of the classics as well, honey barbecue, creamy ranch, or honey mustard, whatever you choose. They're perfect vessel to dip all of your tendies in. Wendy's new chicken tenders are so juicy, crispy, and dippable. You'll remember them forever. Gotta have tendies. It's gotta be Wendy's. Joining us now on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law, one call. That's all. Hard to follow up the Tendy read, but from the Eurostep podcast, Mr. Ty Windisch joining us here. Ty, how are we doing today, my man?
Doing great. We are past December 15th, which means a trade could happen at any moment, and maybe one will. There's like a mini deadline today. If you trade for someone today, you can trade them again by the deadline. So some execs think a lower stakes move could happen, by the end of the day. Nothing has yet, though, but I'm doing well. And we got a couple days off from the Bucks after that horrible game, so that was much needed as well.
I mean, 45 points to the Nets. What are we doing, Ty? Right? I joke about it, but I mean it almost in a way. Like, try not to throw up talking about this team. Ty, what happened? Like, Giannis is not playing. I get that, but even early on in this season, you saw the fun pieces, right? And no one could have predicted Ryan Rollins to be as productive as he's been right now. Kevin Porter Jr. injury kind of nagging, but they bring in Miles Turner. It feels like that was underwhelming. Bobby Portis is having the best game ever and then the worst game ever every week right now. This Bucks season, Ty, so far through 26, 27 games right now, where are you at with this team?
Mostly disgusted. And I think, you mentioned the hot start, 4-1, and since then, obviously well below 500 as they sit below 500 in the season. And I think one of the most discouraging parts about it is obviously the injuries have played a part, but I believe they're 9-8 with Giannis playing, which isn't really where you wanted to be anyway. I mean, that's obviously better, but it's not, I think our expectation was a team that would be vying for somewhere around the 4 seed, right? Like with this roster, losing Dame, and Turner's a good addition, but obviously not a player on that caliber when healthy, for Dame, that is. They're not going to compete with the Clevelands, so much for that. But the New Yorks, Detroit became that ascending team, others up there as well. And they weren't even really there when Giannis was playing in the games. And now this is really, I won't say the worst case scenario, but the scenario a lot of Bucks doubters ahead of the season said of just like, if they don't have Giannis, I think they're just hopeless. But I will say, I think you kind of referred to this too. I don't think they should be this hopeless. And certainly they shouldn't be one of the 5 worst losses in franchise history to the freaking Brooklyn Nets hopeless. Yeah. But even overall, what we've seen, there are a couple of good games, right? The Celtics win was legitimately nice. The Pistons win was too. So you can't totally ignore those. But overall, a lot of disappointing losses to teams like the Blazers, who are not good and also ravaged by injuries. The Sixers, who have one good player and a lot of other guys. They did not be competitive in some of those games. It's really disappointing. It feels like the culture, the coaching schemes on offense and defense, things just aren't right. And I can't give you one exact reason, but you just watch it. It doesn't look good. The defense doesn't look good. The offense doesn't look good. And it should look better by now, especially because we're not in week 1 without Giannis. It's been quite a long sample now, and the plan still doesn't seem to be working at all.
So, Ty, you bring up the scheme there, and I was listening to the Eurostep podcast yesterday, and you and Rohan were going in a little bit on Doc Rivers and his archaic kind of coaching schemes that you talk about him having out on the court. How much of that is really just Doc's coaching style versus the type of players that are on the court and what he's limited to doing with the players that are out there right now? Who do you blame more in this situation? And then if you have some kind of blame for the players, does that go back to John Horst in this situation too?
And before you answer, Ty, don't forget he won a title 15 years ago. Okay, you want to just remember that.
17 years ago.
And an NBA Cup. I mean, let's not forget that.
And an NBA Cup.
And the NBA Cup. And the NBA Cup was more recent, but it was 08, right? So coming up on 18 years, it'll be this.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So there's rookies in the NBA who were like a month old when that happened now.
Yeah, LeBron was
anyway.
still playing. LeBron was playing. Yeah.
That's LeBron was. That's LeBron's a whole other thing. To the question, I put a little more blame on Doc. Because again, I think this group, you're obviously the whole team is built around Giannis. So there's, I take a little bit of blame off everyone, right? Like if they were in this spot in the standings and Giannis played most of the games, it'd be like fire everyone, catastrophe. And maybe we're still there, but I do ease off a little bit. But I do think, though, looking at these pieces, the Bucks have, frankly, gotten extraordinarily lucky that they've more or less been able to replace Damian Lillard in the aggregate with the way Rollins and Kevin Porter Jr. have played most of the time. And that part of the reason the Nets game was so bad was KPJ was really off and Rollins was just okay. But most of the time, if you look, those guys have kind of combined to equal Dame's Bucks production. And that's honestly that's a huge win for Horst and the front office because that seemed like a weak point. A lot of people on the outside thought their guard play was going to be a real negative. I think their point guard play has actually been pretty good. And I don't think it's the biggest reason for their problems, but I do think those guys are often left out on an island and asked to do too much offensively. You watch other teams and there's all these screens and actions and ball screens and off-ball screens and cuts, and the Bucks just don't have much of that. I mean, there was a game when Kyle Kuzma was cutting off of Giannis. I forget if it was against the Heat or somebody else over and over, and it looks so great. We just haven't seen that again since. Like it's these little flashes. Miles Turner was against Miami. He's doing all this operating against smalls, and wow, he looks great. He has all these points and assists, and then he's just takes 3 open threes, and that's it. The next game, like there's not enough consistency. I don't think they maximize their players' skill sets. But all that to say, I don't think many of the players are playing up to their standard, and I think the roster is just imbalanced. They don't have enough wing players. Torian Prince, I don't think is solving all of their issues. He is another injury, but all these fake trades, like if Kuzma's going out for like a Zach LaVine, you just have no one left on the wing. I mean, is Kevin Porter Jr. your 4? Is Rollins? Is Green? Like with Giannis out?
Yeah, it's the Amir Coffee. Yeah,
it's an experiment that worked for you.
Do you guys know what like a 7 trillion is? Do you know that term?
No.
I do not.
So if you play 7 minutes and don't log any other stats, it's enough zeros that it's 7 trillion it reads across. And he came close the other night. He drew a couple free throws, but he is just getting cardio right now, which I guess is apt. His name is Coffee.
Tony Snell, like what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's the Snell, exactly. Yeah.
All right.
Snell did it like 20 minutes or something. That was nuts. But yeah.
That was just running for fun, man. Just running for fun. Ty Windisch joining us here on Wisconsin Sports Daily. You can follow him on Twitter at Ty Windisch, TIWINDISCH. Ty, let's continue this conversation about Giannis, right? Because there was like a report that came out from Chris Haynes where, I don't like all these rumors and how distracting everything is right now. It's not coming from me. They're coming from my representatives, which I can only hope to comment on what my representatives say at one point in my life, as opposed to what I am really thinking. But then another article and another piece coming out in regards to Eric Name, kind of saying that this team was going to be active, going to be looking and still wanting to throw even more Hail Marys than they've already done to keep Giannis happy and in Milwaukee. And then Jake Fisher bringing up some ideas and some names here that the Bucks apparently have expressed interest over. You mentioned Zach LaVine, Jeremy Grant as well on that list. Other players included Andrew Wiggins, Marcus Smart, and DeJounte Murray in the past right now as well. Ty, any of those names give you any sort of okay or positive thoughts starting to accumulate for the Milwaukee Bucks? Or is this all just such fake reporting and shams that is Giannis adjacent during all of this? Because at the end of the day, the Bucks are going to make all this trade, all these trades work, and then it's going to be for nothing if Giannis isn't going to be here.
Yeah, that's certainly the risk. And I think, so the Fisher names, I believe the way he worded it was kind of like, here's some guys they've been interested in the past. I don't think he necessarily was saying they're going big game hunting. They want washed Marcus Smart off the Lakers, right? Or DeJounte Murray, who's still rehabbing his torn Achilles. What my issue with most of the players on that list, I think Grant is okay, but he's not really a good rebounder, but at least he's a forward. And Wiggins, I think it would be a good fit, but like Miami's the team the reports say who's like probably the most motivated to go get Giannis. So I don't really know. Like if they're getting stuff from you for Wiggins, it's so they can try and send it back to you this summer for Giannis, right? So that's a little bit of a precarious position to be in. But the other ones like Levine and Murray, even if he was healthy, it's just more guards. I don't know who watches this team and goes, they need Zach Levine. In the games Giannis played again, where they were just barely over 500, they were, I believe, across that sample, either number one or very close to it, an effective field goal percentage, which means when they took a shot, it was going in. Like that wasn't their issue, but their defense was bad and they can't rebound. Zach Levine at this point in his career, all these surgeries in, that's not what he's helping you with. So I personally, I don't get excited about that name. And the other thing too, I think generally it would make sense if they said, we're willing to take on someone with a big contract like Levine because teams are afraid of that, all the apron stuff, and we're just super aggressive. And we're like not even in the tax right now. They could get Levine without going in the tax because they cleared up. Well, they took that big dead cap hit, but it set them far away from the tax at least. It did do that. But
So
again, I don't like his fit personally. But that idea makes some sense to me if they want to go do that.
So if we take out this list of players that Jake Fisher has put out here, and you wanted to have a more ideal list of players, maybe 2 to 3 players, who would you be looking at right now? Because there's not a lot of centers, there's not a lot of wings that are stout defenders that are going to be available. I mean, you see teams like Oklahoma City who have thrived with Isaiah Hartenstein filling in that role. Is there players like that maybe could be diamonds in the rough that the Bucks could be looking for in this kind of mini trade deadline here?
Yeah, for centers, I'm not as excited about it. I would say a different king actually, and this would be a super weird team. But if they went and got Sabonis instead of Levine and just basically build Rockets East, where you have Giannis, Sabonis, and Turner. Now, poor Miles Turner, after all this, if he just gets re-paired up with Domantas Sabonis, I'm not sure he'd be thrilled about that, but you're not building the thing around Miles Turner. But I otherwise, like, I think you can maximize Turner more. I think Sims is okay as a backup, although it sure seems like he's playing quite a lot at the moment. I'm still interested in the Pelicans guys. The problem is everybody is, and I think other teams have more assets, but either Herb Jones or Trey Murphy, I think would be really nice fits. The one guy I like, and maybe it's just because they're kind of good and he's been really good there, but there's been no buzz, is Dylan Brooks. I mean, if you talk about what this team needs, like someone who can still do offense, not full Andre Jackson Jr., no offense to him, but and Brooks is scoring 20-some points per game, but like a tenacious, a tough guy, or a defender, a rebounder. I want someone like that. And it doesn't have to necessarily be someone that, I guess, nasty, but that kind of helps. Like you do watch the Bucks and you're like, they could use a little bit more of an edge.
I mean,
and
they've been
someone like
chasing that since PJ left, right?
exactly.
Ty?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's really that they've missed that in addition to on-court. I mean, if you could drop Bucks PJ Tucker onto this team,
yeah.
I think they'd be so much better, dude. Like he does fill a lot of what
years
right.
now,
I've been waiting
yeah,
for PJ Tucker to come back. Like, I'll take PJ Tucker right now, dude. Give me his shoe collection. We'll pay the taxes on that.
The Philip Rivers deal, yeah.
Right. Yeah. Philip Rivers can come back and play quarterback in the NFL. PJ Tucker can come hit down a corner three and punch someone in the face when you need him to. At some point. Ty Windisch, Eurostep podcast. Before we let you go, Ty. All right, let's look ahead to this week then. They got the Raptors coming up. How are you feeling about that one? It's past the December 15th number. Do you think the team is going to be any different in the coming week here? Maybe until they go up against the Timberwolves on Sunday. But to wrap things up through the weekend, Raptors, T-Wolves, how are you feeling about the Bucks?
Not great. I think after you have that game against the Nets, you just kind of lose the benefit of the doubt. And the Raptors had been a slumping team. They did just get off the schneid with a nice little win in their last game. So they've kind of gotten it back together. I think RJ Barrett may still be out then. So not a full strength Raptors team, although the Bucks obviously won't be full strength either. AJ Green only practiced a little bit today, so they may end up being without him as well as Prince and Giannis for that game. But that's going to be an important one because that road Wolves game, I mean, the Timberwolves are maybe not like this juggernaut some thought they could grow into. They have their own issues, but going in Minnesota to play against Anthony Edwards is never easy. That is a team that doesn't have a great half-court offense, but I mean, it's very possible the Bucks don't win either of these games. And I do think something will have to happen if the losses keep piling up like this, and then I think next game after that's road Pacers. That could be a little embarrassing. I think the Pacers are not good, but I'm sure they're going to be very motivated against the Bucks. They always are, no matter who is suiting up for Indiana. So if there's not going to be any sort of a coaching adjustment or change, do we just get some sort of a panic trade? I don't know, but losing with a guy like Giannis on your team, even if he's in street clothes, is a pressure cooker. And I do think something will get cooked up, but I have no idea what. I'd make a lot more money if I could tell you that.
All right, last one. We'll go big media national NBA take here. More likely to happen: Wemby is the MVP this year, or the Thunder win 75 games.
Oh, that's good. That's really good because they're kind of tied together. Because
Right.
Wemby won't win if the Thunder do win 75 games. I'll say Thunder wins 75. I don't think it's like a given. Like some people talk about, like they're just going to win every game the rest of the year. It's hard to do that, but they're obviously awesome. And I think even if the Thunder win 72, like it's going to be hard not to give it to Shea, especially Wemby's missed some time. So I'll say Thunder 75. But I love that they lost the cup to the Spurs. It adds a little intrigue. I think if they had blitzed through the cup, the talking points would have intensified. But there's still so much basketball to be played.
They would have played a game that didn't matter anyway, like no stats count, right? So what's the big deal? And I don't think Shea is asking for $1 million more, to be honest, either. So he'll be all right.
Does okay.
Yeah, he'll be doing okay on 70 million. Just don't ask Odell for advice. I think that was right. That's what we came up with. Ty, what do you got working on right now? What do you want to plug before we let you go, my man?
It's a great question. We need to figure out what our podcast is going to be. We usually do one Wednesday or Thursday. The Bucks haven't played since the last podcast. I guess we'll be talking about some more trade stuff with all these rumors, so folks can look forward to that ahead of the next game. And then if things keep going like that Nets game, more meltdowns. That's what's cooking. More meltdowns, but hopefully not. I would love to say, "Wow, great wins, Bucks. Let's go." When we next pod on Monday.
I've only talked to Rohan once, but I can't imagine the meltdown. Like he's got he had the board in front of him with like the Pythagorean theorem or whatever was up there always. And
it's
he was
the duality of man.
The duality of man. That's what it was. He was just so chill and like I couldn't imagine him freaking out. But now I wonder if he's got like the equation for hate up there after a while, something along those lines. Ty, have a good rest of your day, my man. Appreciate you.
Yep. Thank you guys. Have a good one.
There he is, Ty Windisch, Eurostep Podcast. Follow him on Twitter at Ty Windisch, at WINDISCH.
It's a mouth twister, tongue twister. Yeah.
I meant to ask him, like, is his name like Tyler, but like T-I?
I feel like we should just give him a different name every time he comes on like now and try to guess until we get it. Yeah.
Like Tiana Windisch or
what other sounds like a really cool WNBA player.
Tiana Windisch, just killing it for the Storm. You wouldn't even know the difference. Coming up, Wisconsin Sports Daily. We're going to talk a little bit of Brewers, whatever we can right now. As you know, the trade happened over the weekend. The trade of all trades in Milwaukee and Kansas City. No, not Zach Greinke for Lorenzo Cain and Alcides Escobar.
Could be,
but Nick Mears and Isaac Collins gone for Angel Zerpa. Let's talk about it on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's right after this. Charlie, would you say you've heard this song more than 50 times now just from the bumper?
Yeah, just from the bumper. I've never heard this
Do
song
you
before in
know?
my entire
I
life.
still have zero idea who sings it. I have zero idea the name of the song. Like, I have nothing.
There's a good 5 or 6 songs on here that I only know the like 30-second part that Sparky usually plays from the bumper, and that's it. And I know it like word for word.
Yeah, yeah. Once there was this girl, and that's all I got. I don't know what he says after
That's pretty good. That's all you need to know.
Wisconsin Sports Daily served up by Wendy's. Tommy Wirtz in for Steve Sparky Pfeiffer. Charlie Usen still here. However, little brief talk about this Brewers trade, which feels like it's getting the amount of time that I think it should rightfully deserve. Isaac Collins, Nick Mears go to the Royals in exchange for lefty pitcher Angel Zerpa. He's got a minor league option. That's one thing that they love about him. He's got some ability to be a starter. They think they're going to be able to stretch him out, and they're losing Jose Quintana, and I think that's why they're doing this. Charlie, did you look at this trade and not immediately think like, wow, why? Like, it costs 2 major leaguers for a middle of the road lefty now in Major League Baseball?
I mean, I guess I have to go out there and trust Matt Arnold. He's the guy who's been able to make trades like this in the past. And he said he really wanted Zerpa.
Yeah.
He said they've been scouting him. A lot of other MLB teams have mentioned that they were scouting him too and really liked him. I mean, this is a situation where I'll just trust the process until I see something wrong happen. He could be a starter. Aaron Ashby could move back into that starting rotation, which could be a lot of fun. I think there's a lot of options with this. It just doesn't feel necessary at the same time, though. It didn't feel like this is something that either helps or really even hurts the team. Like, it just doesn't feel like there was any benefit to this.
That's when I tweeted out reacting to the move. I basically said, when Matt Arnold wants a pitcher, it's worked out pretty well for us. So I do understand that. However, I kind of think I liked Nick Mears more than everyone else did. And maybe Isaac Collins, moving on from him, I'm not really too hurt about, because we saw how great he was for the first half, and then he selfishly had a child and then just forgot how to play baseball, I guess, during that time. But I understand how deep the outfield is for the Brewers. If this deal would have just been like Garrett Mitchell for Zerpa straight up, would you have thought that it was a bad trade?
I don't love Garrett Mitchell personally. I know that he's this talent that everybody is just obsessed with.
He's a great athlete and he's fantastic at baseball, but he's just never available.
We just found out running back for the Green Bay Packers, the guy that shouldn't be named on this show, is going to be out for the rest of the season. Kind of feels the same with Garrett Mitchell. At some point, you got to give up on that.
Well, I don't necessarily want to say that we should be looking for the Brewers to field offers for Garrett Mitchell. I don't see that. But again, what you saw from Isaac Collins is probably a larger sample size than you've seen anything from Garrett Mitchell during this. By far. Nick Mears, like, I don't know how the Brewers get to where they are without Nick Mears last year. The guy was warming up in the bullpen when he got traded, I'm sure, because he was always coming into a ball game. Zerpa, I'm excited to see what he can do, and it's a guy that from the left side has good stuff, and he can throw up to 97 miles an hour, and that's something you love to see. Is he going to be a guy that is in the back end of this starting rotation, or is he going to be a first guy out of the bullpen type thing? I don't know. And I am a little hurt about losing Nick Mears, more basically because of the Wilmer stinger in him. I know the Wilmer stingers, they always put out, Joey Ortiz, another Wilmer stinger. He's a great guy. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think they're going to be so quiet, man. I just think they're going to be so quiet, and everyone's going to be mad and upset about it from there. And
you're not feeling like some big trade, something coming.
When Harris Tour said that payroll's going to go up, like, then Woody accepted the qualifying offer.
Payroll went up, baby.
Yeah,
nailed it.
That's all I'm saying. More Packers talk coming up in the 3:00 hour. Jovan Alford of Fanside will join us at 3:20. And Charlie's Sounds of the Day coming up at 3:40. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Tommy and Charlie in for Mr. Pfeiffer. We'll see you on the other side in the 3:00 hour.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Download the Wendy's app today.
Hour number 2, Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Tommy Wirtz in for Steve Sparky Pfeiffer. Charlie Usen never leaves, always here as well during the 2 to 5 hours of the day. Thanks for listening wherever you might be listening on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, whether you are in Green Bay at 99.7 FM or 1440 AM at WNFL, Wausau 93.9 The Game, Duluth Superior 710 The Game, and of course Milwaukee 1250 AM 105.7 FM The Fan. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Make sure you guys are checking out Wendy's. When the Bucks win, you win at Wendy's. Every Bucks win, stop by a participating Wendy's for a free small vanilla or chocolate Frosty with no purchase necessary. This offer is only good for 24 hours after a win, so act fast and get the free small Frosty Classic at Wendy's. If they lose by 45, you get nothing. All right, just so you
actually
are
have to
aware.
pay for extra Frosties.
Yeah, you have to pay for the spoon if you want to get that Frosty. That's not true, but it's funny to say because we talked with Ty Windisch. That'll be up on the YouTube page, youtube.com/@WI Sports Radio. If you're not listening, you can watch along and listen along, I guess, too. If you got like YouTube Premium, you just throw it in your pocket after turning the screen off.
Fancy.
Yeah, I have it. It's worth it. It is if you want no other subscription service, get YouTube Premium. Just 100% the most worth it. It's not even close. A lot more Packers talk coming up in the 3 o'clock hour. We'll have Sounds of the Day at 3:40. Jovan Alford of Fansided will join us in about 15 minutes or so. But let's talk about this Packers defense. We talked about the offense in the first hour of the program. Question for you on the Nicolay Law Talk and Text line, 414-677-1250 if you want to be a part of the conversation. What's your adjustment if you are Jeff Hafley with Micah Parsons gone? What is your adjustment to this Packers defense with Micah Parsons gone? Nicolay Law Talk and Text line, 414-677-1250 if you want to be a part of the show. I will give my take first on this one because it's something that for the last 2 years, it feels like I have been screaming. Pre-Micah Parsons, I hate how adamant Jeff Hafley is on getting home with 4. And it works when you have a guy like Micah Parsons and you have a secondary guy like a Rashawn Gary, and Devontae Wyatt is a part of the team and playing well on the interior. But they always seem like they don't blitz enough for me. And maybe that's me playing Madden football and just blitzing whenever I want to and getting home with 6 on the rush. But even when we saw the development of a guy like Quay Walker on this defense, it felt like that started to peak last year. And it was when they started sending Quay Walker a little more up the middle in that mug blitz, and Edgerrin Cooper doing the same thing, where you always see him lined up right over the center when he's going to blitz, and he's just going to use his strength and athleticism to beat that center in front of him. Whenever I see people complaining about the Packers defense, and whenever I seem to complain the most about the Packers defense, it is those medium route concepts that seem to get 12 yards to 16 yards on a play. And there's just no one in the middle of the field. And those guys didn't blitz. Like, I don't know where they went. I don't know where Edgerrin Cooper is, Isaiah McDuffie, or Quay Walker in those moments, but I just see a lot of empty space across the middle of the field. And so when it's already a broken play and a broken scheme on defense in that area, I would like to see more of the middle linebackers, Edgerrin Cooper, Quay Walker, Isaiah McDuffie, applying some pressure in the pass rush And whether or not you want to line up Edgerrin Cooper right in front of that center and blitz from that mug position, or even get creative enough to throw one of them on the edge. I don't think that's an outlandish take to think that maybe you want to make up and have some of that speed on the outside that you're going to lose with Micah Parsons out, and have a Quay Walker or have an Edgerrin Cooper, a couple of looks, nothing more than what Micah Parsons would have done from the interior, blitzing from the middle, but just something different to try to ignite something out of this defense, because this defense is lacking in big playability, Charlie, in my mind.
And I get where you're coming from. I think part of the fact that they're lacking from that big playability, though, is that as much as people love Quay Walker and Edgerrin Cooper, and honestly, people didn't really even love Quay Walker until halfway through last season, let's be honest, you don't have that type of pass rush talent. And I think that, yes, as much as you want to blitz those guys and put them on the edge and say that your speed cannot beat some of these offensive tackles, some of the offensive tackles in today's NFL are the best athletes on the field. Like, you cannot even compete with that type of 6'6", 290 pounds of just muscle with another 40 pounds of fat on top of that. That's crazy. And if they get their hands on a player like Edgerrin Cooper on the outside, I mean, he's completely washed out of play. He's not in that play at all anymore. And Absolutely. It's only taken one player to take that. And then I think the other thing we have to think about too, especially with like Evan Williams potentially being out for an extended period of time here, is how much do you trust your defensive backs to then pick up the coverage duties of a player that's blitzing in those situations? And right now, I do not trust the Packers defensive back room to do that.
Did you trust them when they were rushing 4?
A lot more when Micah Parsons was on the field, one of those players being the one that was rushing 4.
Yeah, I understand that the cornerback room needs to have some help with, okay, we're only going to rush 4 because our corners aren't that good. I do think, though, however, this team, they need to just get to the quarterback in general now and maybe rush a bad decision out of these. I do believe, Charlie, that there is going to be more opportunity for turnovers in the next 3 weeks. I think teams are going to really try to see, well, how much longer can we hold the football if Micah Parsons isn't blitzing? And maybe let's see if something can form downfield. And maybe that's where we see an Xavier McKinney come up with an interception from playing center field, or whoever it might be. And when they're taking these deep shots that don't really happen against the Green Bay Packers ever, they're a bend, don't break defense. Like, this is now a time where I could see a couple other offenses, maybe not necessarily taking what they give you, but trying to create something downfield in these opportunities. Let's head to the phone lines. Nicolay Law talking text line 414-677-1250. Friend of show, friend of station here, John in Franklin. What's going on, John?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Always good to talk.
Always good to talk. John, defensive adjustments. If you're Jeff Hafley, you have no Micah Parsons now. Let's say you don't have Evan Williams. What are you doing to fix this, John?
Well, going to Mass probably Friday night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good start. No, I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're in a world of hurt, but we're going to take this thing one game at a time, and we got to take a look at what did we learn from playing Caleb last game.
Yeah, he likes to get out of the pocket, likes to run around and make a play happen after the play, right?
Yeah.
And we basically couldn't get a hand on him.
Yeah.
And we allowed him to get out to the right a lot more often than we should have, because he's nowhere near as effective like most right-handed quarterbacks going to his left.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever we're doing with our defense, it needs to be predicated on if you're gonna leak out, you're gonna go at least go the way you're less comfortable, and that's the whole theme I would have on defense. Starting with a somewhat a ball control offense doesn't mean you have to run, all the time, but short, intermediate passes, hold on to the ball, shorten the game, and as it's going to be a team effort if somehow we can pull this thing out.
John, are you more concerned about the defense with no Micah or the offense with no Christian?
That's a great question, but it's multi-layered, because it's not only Micah, it's Williams, it's not only it's also the loss of the tight end.
Right.
Kraft.
No, Tucker Kraft. Yeah.
I mean, so it's all on the coaches to come up with some sort of scheme that the guys can buy into that gives us a chance to hang in this game. And it's not going to happen by us forcing Caleb Williams to be running all over the field where we can't seem to tackle the guy.
Yeah.
So that's like I said, I'd like to push him to his offhand and maybe somewhat contain him and keep him from leaking out.
Yeah. John, thanks for the call. Have a good one, my man.
Thanks.
There he is, John and Franklin, 414-677-1250 if you want to be a part of the show. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Tommy Wurtson for Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, along with Charlie Usen as well. And like to go off of this point from John and Franklin, I threw him on the spot there with that question of the offense versus the defense, but he brings up the point, Charlie, and you are the Chicago Charlie. Mm-hmm. Caleb Williams was able to get out of the pocket very efficiently against the Green Bay Packers just a week ago. And now you don't have Micah Parsons. And now this guy who has shown how athletic he can be at the quarterback position in Caleb Williams, all they did was bootleg towards Rashawn Gary the entire game. And now you assume that Lucas Van Ness will assume some of the roles as edge rusher 2. Maybe it'll be Kingsley and Ekbari. I think whoever you put there is still more athletic than Rashawn Gary. Do you think that that's going to be a part of this game plan for Chicago more so? And it felt like every time they rolled out to the right, a lot of successful things happening in that game against Green Bay. When he rolled out to the left, that's when he lost the game.
I actually don't think that's going to be part of their game plan as much as it was in that first matchup. I think part of the reason they did that was to tire Micah Parsons out throughout that game, was to get him to chase Caleb Williams to that right side of the field almost every other play, it felt like. In a situation like this, if I was Jeff Hafley, I think my adjustment would be that we need a spy A on Caleb Williams throughout this game. So that's going to be Quay Walker. Jaron Cooper on the defense is going to be following Caleb Williams throughout this game. And that, yeah, you probably are going to end up rushing for a lot more in this game than I think you would probably want, Tommy, in this situation. And it's a spot where you need to have kind of a base defense in order to make the Bears be more creative than you. I think last time they played, the Bears were forced to kind of have to do that with a Micah Parsons on the other side. I think in a situation like this, you don't want this defense thinking as much as the Bears offense should be as well.
Yeah, I just think that you can match athleticism with the personnel if you're talking about Quay Walker and you're talking about Jaron Cooper. And I believe that the way to combat Caleb Williams is either A, keeping him within the pocket, which they did a terrible job at last time, or B, trying to match some of that athleticism on the edges. And that would not be with Rashawn Gary.
No.
That is with maybe a Lucas Van Ness and maybe, again, Jaron Cooper, Quay Walker, like kind of on that outside. And I'm not asking Green Bay to change their entire defense into making one of those guys an edge rusher, but we've seen Quay Walker rush off the edge before in the past. We haven't seen it as much out of Jaron Cooper, but if you can bring those guys' speed to the game to get to the quarterback, Caleb rattled is better than Caleb calm, right? I mean, by any quarterback standard.
I don't know with Caleb Williams, though. I think sometimes, again, I said this when John was talking too, he plays better out of structure. When he's forced out of those pockets, the Packers did get their hands on Caleb Williams a lot in that game, and he broke out of sacks and was just out in there. And then he had a Colson Loveland, who he's built this really nice relationship with, or a Luther Burden, track him down the field where they have to make the play then, and he just gets them the ball. When he's forced to throw on one of those first two reads, he struggles with that throw even more in the pocket.
Yeah, it's just one of those two reads.
So
he's
weird,
throwing to Keyshawn Nixon or Carrington Valentine every time, which always like trumps the argument. It feels like I want to see Green Bay match some of that. Like they're going to have to. You lose a lot of athleticism with Micah Parsons, and you lose a lot of speed. And it's something that Green Bay's defense has gotten a lot of love about already is, it's a track team that can tackle, and they didn't tackle very well last game either. But I think that Green Bay, if they want to try to replace or replenish that Micah Parsons hole, they have to do it with some sort of athleticism that they're showing off. And they can't do it with Evan Williams coming down and being in that box because he probably is going to miss this game against Chicago, it feels like. And I believe that of the guys having the best season that I love watching the most on the Green Bay Packers to this point, Micah Parsons was number one. And I would venture to think that Jordan Love finds his way into these next three names as well. But Edgerrin Cooper and Quay Walker also on this list with Evan Williams.
Over Tucker Kraft?
Yeah, maybe Tucker Kraft,
Okay.
but I've just almost disqualified him. That's and fair. Christian Watson from this conversation.
Awesome when they were on the field.
I know, man. Like, imagine if Tucker Kraft and Christian Watson played at the exact same time. Like, that would have been awesome.
Then you wouldn't be a Packers fan.
No. Instead, I have to have my heart ripped out every year. At least it happened December instead of January this year, right?
Fair enough.
Like, that's the positive I have. I'm really not ready to throw this season away. I'm not. And I do think that if Jeff Hafley is this defensive guru that everyone thinks he is, he was going to have to plan like this until August 28th all year. Like, Micah Parsons was not a part of the plan until September in Jeff Hafley's defensive scheming training camp. All of it was no Micah Parsons. It was all Jeff Hafley. And one man who is still healthy and still a part of this team, Jordan Love. Like, I really do believe that if you want to be on the side of a Jordan Love truther, which I am, like, I will not lose faith in this team.
Let's see what you got.
They're going to make the playoffs.
Let's see what you got, 10.
They're going to make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So why are you like season's over? I'm not there yet. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily. Tommy Wirtz in for Steve Sparky Pfeiffer. It's time for a tradition like no other during a season of tradition. Jovan Alford joining us here on the other side of this break. We'll talk more about the Green Bay Packers. Let's start talking a little bit about Bears week. I mean, it's Tuesday. I kind of want to never remember that game ever that happened on Sunday. So we'll ask him a little bit about that. I'm sure we'll, I guess, revisit the worst day in Packers history. But it is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Make sure you guys are going to check out the Potawatomi Sportsbook, the best sportsbook you're going to find in the area, maybe in the country. There's just bets up on their website that you can go in. You can pick your bets that you would like to make and then scan a little QR code, and then you get the express line over at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Go right in, scan your bets, you get your ticket, and then collect your winnings once you guys are in. I don't know if you've heard this, Charlie. If you have been fading Mitch Nellis over the last 3 weeks, you would be so rich. Mitch Nellis is 2-16 in his last 18 bets, and you could just be the opposite way, making more money. So tune into the Mason
Thunder
Crosby
always comes
show.
second, you know?
Yeah, always lightning before there's thunder. That is true. Let's get to Jovan Alford on the other side. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. All right, I know this one.
Yeah, this one goes pretty nuts.
Welcome back to Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Tommy Wirtz, Charlie Usen in for Steve Sparky Pfeiffer. And every time Mr. Pfeiffer leaves and asks me to fill in for him, usually he's driving to lacrosse or something. I don't know. He's like, kids never go to school anymore. And that goes all the way till college, I guess, now. But I always ask my guy, Jovan Alford, joining us here on the guest hotline powered by Gruber Law, to join us in these hours of the day. Jovan Alford, Fanside NFL contributor, founder of Total Sports Live. Jovan, how are we doing, my man?
I'm doing good. How are y'all doing?
We're doing great. We're doing great as always. We go back all the way to the weekend show doing this together. Now,
Yep.
I guess we got, a little bit of like trust built in here.
We got pull time.
We got some pull.
Yep.
Yeah, it's working out all right. And I always think it's great now that if me and Charlie are going to be on this show together, I asked Jovan to come on as well. The timing always works out great. And you love talking Packers, and that is until Micah Parsons isn't a part of this team. Your reaction to Sunday, man, where not just the loss, but I mean, losing everyone in the process, Micah being the headliner, but Zach Tom goes out, Evan Williams down, Christian Watson gets hurt. What's new? And if you haven't heard, Marshawn Lloyd apparently going to be out for the remainder of the season, it looks like, too. Jovan, can the Packers overcome all this stuff right now, man? What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to say worst case scenario, week 15 was like worst case scenario. Unless you're like Kansas City Chiefs fan, like it was the same thing for Kansas City, like worst case scenario. Packers fan,
but they weren't in the playoffs.
No, they weren't. They had to lose, and other things had to happen, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I think for Packers fans, like you said, this is like the doomsday scenario. Like losing Parsons is just a killer, just because you already wasn't getting consistency from Rashawn Gary, let alone your defensive tackle depth coming into this season wasn't great. So you're now overcompensating for what you lost in the middle to say, oh, we're having this great year by Parsons. Now that's out the window. You mix in the Christian Watson injury, which you just feel terrible about, because the way he's performed since coming back from his ACL has just been, I think, probably exceeded all of our expectations. Just like it seems like he hasn't missed a step. He's become this, wide receiver one for Jordan Love. And now you're trying to, you got to mix and match some things. But one thing you do, if you're a Packers fan, you do have depth at wide receiver like that. You do have some safety nets there with Dobbs, Golden, and Reed. But at pass rusher, you're a little concerned on what are you going to get from this unit going forward for the rest of the season and obviously into the playoffs.
I think even with Micah Parsons on the field, Jovan, that you still had a little concern about that defensive line group outside of him. And then you also still had some concern about the cornerback room without Micah Parsons on the field. Now, which of those two groups do you have more concern about, even though obviously there's concern with both? And which one do you think has a better chance of stepping up without Micah Parsons on the field?
That's a good question. I want to say both are equal. Both are equal. But I think it's pass rush, because if you can get pass rush, it will not, your corners won't have to cover, as long as, necessary. I know Carrington Valentine did not have the greatest of games against the Broncos, and it was disappointing because Carrington has played so well since stepping into that starting position. But I think it's the defensive line. You have to get pressure, right? You have to see what Carl Brooks can give you from that, from the middle. What can Brinson give you on the edges, right? Can Rashawn Gary figure out something and try to, get some pressure? He hasn't had a sack in like 6 games or something
weeks,
like that.
Yeah, it's a lot.
That's terrible right there. So when you have that, and then you have, you're hoping Kingsley in the bar can get something going there. And, he's not a huge sack guy, but what he's shown you, he's at least getting pressure, right? I know Jeff Hafley, that was something he talked about last week when they asked about Gary, like, is he going to get, about Gary, about the pressures? And it's like, I would like him to get the pressures, but he's doing good in run stopping. Well, now you need them to get pressure, because you can't have these quarterbacks sitting back in the pocket and picking apart your secondary, because we've seen Nixon struggle at times. We've seen obviously Valentine struggling. Slot, you don't know. Keyshawn, you don't know about Nate Hobbs and just what he's going to give you just on a week-to-week basis. So I think it comes down to the pass rush. Pass rush has to get something going.
Jovan Alford joining us here on Wisconsin Sports Daily. Follow him on Twitter at JOVAN, Jovan10. So we asked it right before you came on. What adjustments are you making if you're Jeff Hafley, knowing that you're going to lose Micah Parsons the rest of the year, probably a week at least without Evan Williams, all signs pointing to that. I had brought up an idea of moving Quay Walker and moving Edgerrin Cooper around. And we've seen Quay Walker do a couple of nothing more than I said, like what Micah was doing in the middle, but just trying to get some of that speed you got on the outside. I know you don't have a guy who is as strong and fast like Micah Parsons, but you do have two guys in the middle who are as athletic as anyone else at the position. Why not try to mix around some of that versatility to try to make up a little bit of what you're losing with Micah? But what are you doing if you are Jeff Hafley in this situation, Jovan?
No, I agree with you. I think that's the best case that you can do with this defense. Like you said, you don't have to bring 5 every time, right? But be situational when you bring 5. Like you said, maybe you bring, Walker shooting through the gap once. Maybe you bring, Cooper through the gap. Maybe you send them, coming off the edge. Maybe you drop somebody back in coverage as a spy, or maybe you send a linebacker and drop a defensive end in the coverage to see if you can try to trick Williams into making a mistake. I saw the Chargers do that to Jalen Hurts a couple weeks ago.
I mean, have you seen Rashawn Gary run? Like, you were ready to do that? We're ready to do
Lucas
that?
Van Ness just got his legs back. This is something I don't know.
I don't. But this is the position that they're in. I mean, you're hoping. Yep. Do you try to throw Brenton Cox out there as well on the defensive line? Like, and I mean, he popped a little bit last year, so you do have something there. But I think I do like your idea of working, those linebackers. Shoot, even get Isaiah McDuffie, going, because you're going to try to have to maneuver that pocket to get Caleb Williams a little bit off kilter, because we've seen him have his ebbs and flows this season. One game he's making a bunch of throws, in other games he's completing 50% of his passes, right? You don't know which Caleb Williams, but you got to try to knock him off his square just a little bit to try to keep things interesting, because you don't want to have Nixon and Valentine getting picked on. But with the questions about Roma Dunze this week, maybe that helps this Packers defense.
So without Micah Parsons on the field, obviously that changes what the Packers have to do, but that changes the Bears game plan too from 2 weeks ago when they were going up against this Packers team. How do you expect the Bears to approach this game offensively against a Packers defense that should look different without a Micah Parsons on the field?
Well, if you're the Bears, you definitely will probably not have to double team anymore. Like if I'm the Bears with my two tackles, Darnell Wright and Trapillo, I'm literally daring the Packers, daring Rashawn Gary to beat me 1-on-1. Like, can you beat me 1-on-1? And if you don't beat me on 1-on-1, great. If you do, then we'll have to make adjustments. And I think if you're the Bears, you'll live with that if he have, that type of great game. And I think also for the Bears, you're trying to get Caleb in the second and third and manageables, running the football with DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai. I think in the first meeting, there was like 130 plus yards I think the Bears have. So Bears bread and butter is running that football and kind of making things manageable. And obviously we see the middle of the Packers defensive line is not great right now. You're depending on, Brinson, you're depending on Jordan Riley, who was just signed off the Giants, a couple weeks ago. Right. Nasir Stackhouse can't get on the field. You're wondering about Bohanna. Like, there's a lot of question marks. And I think if you're the Bears, run the football, then see if you can open up the passing game with DJ Moore, with Luther Burton III, who's starting to come on really strong.
Well, let's move over to the offensive side. Jovan Alford joining us here on Wisconsin Sports Daily. Tommy Wirtz in for Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, along with Charlie Usen, as always. Christian Watson injury. I can't be the only person that thought when it happened, and I don't love my brain for thinking this, but it was like unbelievable, right? I mean, just how unlucky can this guy be, where anytime, like, I'm finally starting to get into this groove of watching him play and enjoying what I'm seeing out of Christian Watson. He looked unbelievable in his return. And then, like, just for him to go out, give all effort on a play, and boom, he's hurt. Now It doesn't seem like it's going to be anything that is super long term. Possibility of him even playing on Saturday against Chicago, but avoid all of that noise. And Jordan Love is where I want to go with this. I really do believe that this season you can't throw anything away, because I do believe that Jordan Love is a good quarterback. And I believe he's one of the better ones in the NFL right now, especially when you look at what the rest of the quarterback position is doing right now. How you feeling about Jordan Love getting a matchup against the Chicago Bears again ultimately was able to lead the team in the first matchup, now has to go up against them for a short time, now the second time in the last 2 weeks?
I feel confident, with you going back, to face the Bears a second time. I mean, I think he had interception in the first matchup, and obviously that's something that he will have to be paramount about. Obviously, he had a couple of interceptions last week against the Broncos. The Bears defense feasts off of turnovers. I think they're first in the league in takeaways with 30, and they lead the NFL with 21 interceptions. Like, that's their MO. And if you're Jordan Love, the game plan is to protect the football, but it also comes down to offensive line. Can you protect? Now, granted, the Bears defensive line is nowhere near the defensive line of what he saw with the Broncos. Like, that's just next level. Like, Zach Allen, Benito, that's next level. Like, the Bears don't have that, but they do have a guy in Montez Sweat. They do have Grady Jarrett in the middle. I think for Love, just play your game, right? We just saw him, a few weeks ago against the Lions, just play efficient football and just go up and down the field, tossing.
That first half against Denver, I was like, this guy, I mean, after the fourth pass of the game, I was like, he's feeling it. Like, you could tell. And then all the wind out of the sails when Watson goes down.
Yeah, and I think that's gonna hurt if Watson can't play. I mean, if you're the Packers, you're, like you said, they basically saying game time decision at this point. You got to see what his pain threshold is. But if he doesn't play, I'm looking at which wide receiver is going to step up, right? Jayden Reed, I think, has done well since he's come back, from injury. But I'm looking at Romeo Doubs. Romeo Doubs has to step up for, Jordan Love. His last 6 games, he's only averaging 22.8 receiving yards. That's not going to cut it. We need Romeo Doubs from the first half of the regular season to show up in this matchup to give Love that help. And Matthew Golden, I think maybe Matthew Golden steps into that role as well to help Jordan Love as that deep threat. He played really well against Denver, and you got to look at their secondary. I mean, to play well against, those guys, I think that gives you some confidence that he can be another option for Jordan Love. And Jordan Love's okay. Like, he's going to be fine. Like, every quarterback has their ups and downs, their bad weeks. It's not doomsday, right? Like, everybody, we see it every week. Last week, what was it? Hurts threw 4 interceptions, Mahomes threw 3 against the Texans. Like, quarterbacks have these bad outings, but it's how you bounce back. And I think I have no issue in thinking that Jordan Love won't bounce back in this matchup.
So Jordan Love, potentially without a Christian Watson, without this top tier defense that we've been seeing throughout the majority of this season, moving forward here, he has two pretty tough matchups, and then a Vikings team that has been playing harder over the past couple of weeks that may be coming in with a different kind of mindset in that last week of the season. What does Jordan Love have to do to kind of elevate himself back into that conversation of the MVP award? Because right now Josh Allen has put his name first after that big win over Drake May. Drake May's still there. Matthew Stafford has this loaded team. Do you think this situation that he's going into these last 3 weeks, if he goes out there and plays at the top of his capability, can he elevate himself back into the conversation there? And then what does that elevation look like? What is that for him to put his name back into that conversation?
Certainly, and I think it starts on Saturday against a division opponent who has that number 2 seed right now. Like, if you can kind of stick the proverbial fork in them and take that season series, that's going to help the Packers. And you won't be able to overlook if the Packers can hold on to the second seed and say Jordan Love played a part in that. So I think it starts on Saturday night. He needs to play, like I said, clean, efficient football. He's going to have, as we say with MVP in every sport, he's going to have to create that moment, have that moment, whether it's a big throw on third down, whether she's using his legs maneuver, whether it's a huge fourth down catch. He's going to have to do those things, because after that, you get past the Bears teams, you got a Ravens team they're fighting for their playoff lives too. They're hungry, but they're beatable, defensively. Like, they do pose some issues, but they're beatable. And I think if you can get the ground game going, again, for him, the ground game's essential. If you can get Josh Jacobs rolling, then everything opens up. And then, like you said, the Vikings matchup, Vikings probably will be playing spoiler, but on paper, if the Packers still have something to fight for, which could possibly be the case if the Eagles do their job at the 3rd seed, then that opens the door for Love to do his thing. Like, it's just going to come down to moments. Can he give you moments? And I think he can. And like I said, if he puts on a good performance on Saturday night, like if we get anything close to what we saw on Thanksgiving against the Lions, then that will set the tone of like, okay, maybe this race isn't over yet for MVP.
Jovan Alford, fan-sided contributor for the NFL portion of that, founder of Total Sports Live, joining us here on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Jovan, thank you so much. Anything you want to plug before I let you out of here, my man?
Oh, yeah, as always, appreciate y'all fellas for having me on as always. Again, for Packers stuff, DairylandExpress.com. You can get all your Packers stuff. Obviously, a lot of Packers stuff happening today. Marshawn Lloyd talking about that situation and what's
apparently he is he who shall not be named now on this show. We're just can't even bring his name up anymore.
Yeah, that's disappointing. So got a lot of stuff about that. Obviously, the defense, what's going to be happening, life after Parsons, obviously Watson staying on top of that, and who steps up, and anything else that's going on with the Packers. So DairylandExpress.com, and also for anything Philadelphia sports related, TotalSportsLive.com as well.
Very nice. Jovan, have a good one, my man. We'll do it again soon.
All right, see y'all.
There he is, Jovan Alford, joining us on the guest hotline powered by Gruber Law. One call. That's all. Charlie's Sounds of the Day coming up next right here on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook.
What sound clips will Chicago Charlie pick today for Sparky? Will Sparky become enraged? Will laughter ensue? It's time for Charlie's Sound of the Day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
Time for the best segment on the radio ever, I think, right?
Ever. That's really nice. I appreciate it.
Charlie's Sounds of the Day on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, and Sounds of the Day brought to you by Prize Picks, of course. Mr. Chuck, what do we got today on Sounds of the Day?
I had so many lined up that I thought would make Sparky so mad. And you're so much more even keeled, but you know what? We'll rock with it still.
If you want me to be like Sparky, I'll be like, what are we doing? Why are we talking about Christmas movies?
No, we won't do that. We don't have to do that. Sometimes I like to calm in my life a little bit.
I'll see what I can do.
First up, we're going to start by heading over to the next round, which is a SEC and college sports podcast where Joel Klatt of CBS was on their show, and he was explaining why he hates the NCAA tournament in basketball.
The NCAA basketball tournament is a joke. It's the dumbest tournament and the least fair tournament in all of sports. We go and we put teams at odd times on neutral sites in a one game affair. Like, that doesn't crown a true champion. We're not doing anything that tells us who's the best team over the course of the entire season. You know, like, if anything, the NCAA basketball tournament should act exactly like the old World Cup, which we should have groups. They should all get guaranteed 3 games, and they should be played at the higher seeds arena so that those seeds are rewarded for a quality game. And that way we don't just get to see, like, you know, Kentucky one and done against George Mason or something like that. Well, that's stupid. That's stupid. Again, hottest of all takes, but that would make the NCAA basketball tournament far better.
What a clown. What? I mean, I understand his logic. First of all, if you don't think everyone outside of the state of Kentucky is not rooting for George Mason taking down Kentucky in a ball game, you are wrong. Like, that is 100%.
That's what sports is about.
The vibe is to root for the underdog and the Cinderella story the entire time. And if Joel Klatt was speaking during this about what he might do with the NCAA tournament, like, has he not watched it the last few years? Like, it is absolutely like the Cinderella and the upset is gone. I mean, that is not happening like the same it has in the past in this tournament. And if he wants to say this so he can defend his, you know, little college football playoff tournament that he wants to go to, I'd like, we're not the dumbest tournament in college football. That doesn't help your argument that yours isn't dumb too. And it's not your fault, Joel Klatt. It's the ACC's fault, quite frankly. Go ahead with the next one.
Next up, we're going to head over and hear from Chris Haynes, Giannis's best friend, apparently, closest confidant, cousin of his wife, according to multiple sources. He says Giannis Antetokounmpo is not comfortable with all the trade talks that have been surrounding his name.
I don't know what he's going to do or how he's going to handle things, but, you know, just from the conversation I had with him a week or so ago, he said he's not comfortable with all this. You know, just all the rumors and everything that's flying out there.
He brought it on, though.
He claims it's not him. He claims, he says it's not him. He said he can't speak to.
How could he claim that when you're having conversations with him? He's talking with the team. How can he claim that?
Well, a lot of those conversations, and I would say most of those conversations are his representatives.
So it's with the Giannis camp.
Yeah. So not necessarily him.
Okay.
And so he told me, he's like, look, I can't control what the front office decides to do. I can't control what my representation does.
See, Chris, you saying all this just makes me feel like it's like him avoiding accountability and like making it about everybody else.
I think what he's doing and the position he's taking is that, he's going to give his all when he's out on the basketball court. And so he feels like if he's doing what he does on the court, like everything else will play out. It should play out in the right way. And if he's doing everything on the court, and he's living up to his end, but the team still isn't up to par, then, eventually he will have to say something, directly to front office, or maybe say something publicly.
Who was he talking with there, Chris Haynes? Did you get his name?
Let me double check.
Because I just wanted to mention one of his quotes of just passing on the accountability and not wanting to take it. I think that Giannis could nip all of this talk in the bud about him if he just said yeah, I said this.
It was the Kevin O'Connor show.
So again, this does appear that Giannis is now oh, I didn't say any of this. No, that wasn't me. It's the rumor spreading, and the rumor, but you're I didn't start it, but I did tell a bunch of other people about it. No. It wasn't Giannis who said he wanted to get traded. It was his camp who told Giannis, think about being traded. And then Giannis was well, maybe I should think about being traded. And then his camp reporting, he's thinking about being traded. You helped spread the rumor. You could have just came out and said yes or no, and everyone would be at least in a better state of clarity whether or not they would be happier or not because of it. The Giannis stuff, man. I mean, he's not going to destroy his reputation in Milwaukee, but he's trying every time.
He's not polishing his reputation right now. That's for sure.
Not at all. Not at all. Do we have time for one more?
I think we got time for one more. This is Ryan Clark discussing Micah Parsons getting hurt because of Bo Nix.
I'm going to put your mic off. I'm going to turn your mic off.
Micah Parsons is hurt because of Bo Nix.
Oh my God. All right. That's it. What?
Micah Parsons is hurt because of Bo Nix.
Do you hear that? Do you hear what he just said?
His fault, but the violence in which Micah Parsons had to chase Bo Nix the entire second half was extremely evident, whether it was the touchdown to Bandy, the throw to Troy Franklin, getting outside the pocket and finding Lil Jordan Humphrey. You could see that Micah Parsons was the one person in
Ryan.
I'll get him all for you.
Thank you, because he's just such a clown. I mean, I was joking when I said it about Joel Klatt. Ryan Clark, if you want the real smoke, let's set up an interview. Let's set up an interview. Even if you can't do it anytime between noon and 2, I'm sure Steve Sparky Pfeiffer would gladly take your time. My first question is, what gives you the right? All right,
Bo Nix, elite athlete.
Bo Nix, better athlete than people give him credit for. I wonder why they don't give him enough credit. I wonder why that people underestimate his athleticism. All right, no, it was not the reason why. Micah Parsons, maybe his ACL explodes on any play. We don't know what happens. Bo Nix athleticism. Shout out Prize Picks for Charlie Sounds of the day. I don't know how Sparky is able to send in current to date stuff, but then it says he's 4 hours behind in the chat. I don't know. Let's get to the third hour at Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Download the Wendy's app today.
One more time, 4 o'clock hour. Hopefully everyone had a good day at work. If you're leaving already or wrapping it up quick enough here. Wisconsin Sports Daily, Tommy Wirtz in for Steve Sparky Pfeiffer. Served up by Wendy's. Of course, Charlie Usen still here, as he always is. Charlie Usen going to be at Brat Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Like last year, everyone and their mom at the Brat Bowl, they're like, oh, I think it was just you and me who had to stay back that time. That was when it was just us two. And it's just like, dude, I've had this brat, I've had this sausage, I've had this tasty, delicious food. And me and Charlie just sitting back here like, you guys go to hell. Like, I don't even want to hear it anymore. Now you hooked me up last week, so I hooked you up with the brat stuff this week.
And I know most people can only see like our neck up. I'm starving to death over here, man.
It's exactly the thought everyone has. Like, dude, this is the most malnourished show on the air right now. And I don't think I'm quite two Sparkies, but I could be two Sparkies, right? I mean, that guy, if he's 150 pounds, I'm not quite two Sparkies.
I think you're being generous.
But yeah.
17.
Someone get this man a brat. All right. Every day, however, 4 o'clock hour, Wisconsin Sports Daily, always doing this.
It's time for your green and gold update on Wisconsin Sports Daily, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer.
Green and gold updates every day, 4 o'clock. Green Bay Packers talk guaranteed to happen on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network on Wisconsin Sports Daily. Matt LaFleur speaking at his presser earlier today. It was about 1:30, right? He spoke, something like that. First question in regards to Micah Parsons and his ACL injury.
Did Micah have the surgery yet, or has that been scheduled?
He is not. No, I don't know. I know, he's about to have another child here pretty quick. So, not that is going to impact the specific timeline of the surgery, but he's down there dealing with that.
You think he'll be able to stick around, or is the rehab such that he has to go somewhere else? Do you want
No, he'll be around, for sure.
Is he going to have the surgery in Dallas?
I cannot confirm that.
Is that like a HIPAA violation? That's why, or
I don't know, because Patrick Mahomes went to Dallas and got his surgery in Dallas, and everybody talked about how it was a Dallas team doctor. People had problems with that. I don't think it is. I think it's just more Matt LaFleur being Matt LaFleur and not wanting to give more details than he normally does.
All right. Well, okay. Continue on, Matt LaFleur.
Any feel for Zach's availability for this week?
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I know he's going to fight and try to, but we'll just see. We'll give him the week. We got a lot of guys. This injury list is pretty substantial, so we got a lot of things to figure out over the next couple of days.
How's Christian, and what kind of feel do you have for him right now?
Yeah, he's another guy that not quite sure. We'll give him up to game time to see if he can go, and I know it's every one of these guys going to be fighting to make it by game time.
Is Christian a pain toleration thing? To, or is it
well, I think there's some function there as well. Certainly the pain's a big part of it, but functionality, and he's got to prove that throughout the course of the week.
What was he sent to the hospital for? Because I know it was initially chest and then shoulder.
Yeah, I think our guys do a pretty thorough job of making sure that he checks out A-okay, and thankfully everything checked out good.
Is it a shoulder? Is that what at this point what he's on the list?
All of the above.
What does that mean? Like, what? Matt, gosh, I try my best to just help this guy out. Like, he just gets so much heat all the time. Then it's like, okay, well, like, what is the injury for Christian Watson? And then he replies back with all of the above.
Like, does that really help give you that much more of an advantage when you say stuff like that in press conferences?
No, in fact, it might do the opposite for how I feel. Like
cloud your own team's perspective of what's happening in this situation. I know he's probably telling them something different behind the doors, but at the same time, I mean, this doesn't feel like it's smart game planning. This is just him not like being a jack. That's all it is.
And on top of it, the Zach Tom injury update, like whatever it is, you can't have a repeat of Cleveland with Zach Tom where he comes out there for one play and then he's immediately hurt and out for the rest of this game. I would say that they probably have a good idea about whether or not Zach Tom is going to play on Saturday and whether or not Christian Watson is going to play on Saturday. And even maybe this all of the above answer is almost hinting at going to play, like you're saying. Maybe there's an advantage to like, they can't say his shoulder or his chest or whatever it is.
Maybe, or it's on the other side of things, he just doesn't know yet, which is also a problem too if your head coach isn't that involved in this.
Right. Or he's screwed. He's never going to play again. Whatever it is. Continue on, Matt.
With Micah, were there any other complications with the injury that might extend the rehab process, or was it a clean ACL?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get into the specifics. I just know it was the ACL, my conversations. But as far as the specifics of it, I'm not going to get into it.
Yeah, he's just going to give us absolutely nothing today. Absolutely nothing. Continue on.
So what's your practice plan if you have all these guys hurt? I assume you're not doing anything today or walk through today?
Oh yeah, we'll just walk through. We're just going to walk through, and it's a big mental day. Tomorrow we'll have kind of a modified practice depending upon how we get out of today, or just getting a gauge where everybody's at. But like that's pretty par for the course, I would say, for most teams this time of the year, especially when you're on a short week. You want to get them the plan as quickly as possible, and so they have a time to digest it. And we all know the magnitude of this game. It's going to be a great challenge for us in their house. Just saw them 2 weeks ago, so it should be pretty exciting.
It's obviously never a good time to have these kind of injuries, but when it's so late in the season, what kind of stress does that put on you, the coaching staff, to come up with some sort of plan to make do with what you have?
Yeah, but just like I told the guys, I mean, we feel like we're very capable, but we just got to all work together and kind of roll up our sleeves and take this challenge on. And what an opportunity for other guys to get an op to go out there and perform. And so there's a lot of excitement around that as well.
Charlie, do you have anyone on this Packers team off the top of your mind where you are saying, I'm excited for their opportunity with all of these guys not being available? There's someone deep in this depth chart that you're like, you know what? I'm excited for that opportunity.
Bo Melton, cornerback? Can I put that up?
He might have to play safety.
He might have to play.
He might have to play edge rusher. Like the answer to all their questions could be Bo Melton at this point. But
I don't know. I feel like I reserve that type of sentiment for teams that are bad, in my opinion. Like teams like the Milwaukee Bucks. When Giannis went down with that injury, that's what I said about the Bucks. So I'm excited to see, some of these other guys get an opportunity to show what they could do, because Giannis is going to come back and they'll be good when he comes back.
Sure.
This Packers team at this point in the season, losing Micah Parsons, where you have losing a lot of these key players on offense with injuries that could potentially keep them out for longer than just one game at this point. I mean, it's too deep. Now it's too late. This team was too good where it's like, no, I don't really want to see Baron Sorrell go out there and play his best game, because he shouldn't have to be out there at this point. It's frustrating that he's out there.
Have you been seeing the Colin Oliver hype?
I have a little bit.
Like I feel like I'm bought into it at this point, because I don't see this as an opportunity for Rashawn Gary.
No,
I don't see this as an opportunity for Lucas Van Ness.
Maybe a little bit, but he has to get on the field.
And when I look at the rest of this team, like, has Riley and Stackhouse not had opportunities already to do something? And Brinson, I feel like 1 week we're saying, look at how amazing he played, and the next week it's, why is this guy playing right now? So I don't necessarily believe it from an opportunity standpoint that this Packers team can look at it and find that silver lining. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Tommy Wirtz in for Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, listening in on Matt LaFleur's presser from earlier today. Let's continue on with Matt LaFleur.
I know you've talked about how you guys self-scout regularly. Do you have to go deeper with that this week, considering you just played Chicago recently? Or is that the same?
I'd say it's the same.
Oh, thanks, Matt. Thanks.
How much have you been? Were the guys in at all yesterday? Were they totally off yesterday?
They were off. I mean, you know how it is. Guys that are injured, they'll come in, they'll go through treatment. Some guys will come in and get a lift. But as far as just us as the coaching staff seeing the players, that was their player day off.
So how have you seen them kind of go from the, for lack of a better term, the stages of grief of the disappointment of Micah getting hurt to now kind of getting ready for a really big game and kind of moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, that's life in the National Football League. And it's an unfortunate part of our business. Obviously, like I said the other night, you never want to see anybody get hurt, whether certainly your own players, but even the opposition. So it's an unfortunate part of the game. And you just, the show goes on and you find out that very quickly. And like I said, you got to find a way and you got to have a good plan. And we got to just kind of bond collectively together and fight through it.
All right, I think that'll be enough of
no offense to that question, but like that's the one I'd expect a short, snarky response to.
Yeah,
and he gave the longest, best response to that one.
I mean, I've been able to meet Jason Wilde a handful of times, and I don't know if it's me reading it wrong or whatever. It's just I feel like he's fishing for him sometimes a little bit, like where he's like, "Will you give me this smart, snarky comment here right now? If not, it's cool, but I'm going to try." I maybe not. Maybe Wildy's just, I'm reading it wrong, but that's how I always feel. Does a great job reporting for the Green Bay Packers. But that's just always the tone I hear. Let's lead this into, we've now heard some of Matt LaFleur's comments. Let's lead this into our topic, and we'll hit a break a little early and leave this open because I think that it'll be something that should get a little bit of participation. Nicolay Law, talking text line, 414-677-1250. If you want to be a part of the show, dial it up, 414-677-1250. Do you still feel that the Packers can win the NFC North without Micah Parsons? Do you still feel that the Packers can win the NFC North without Micah Parsons? Nicolay Law, talking text line, 414-677-1250. We'll open the phone lines up. We'll talk about it. On the other side, it is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. And I got to make another Wendy's read here as well because it's talking about Frosties. Yeah, Frosties. The Snickerdoodle Cookie Frosty. Sounds unreal. Sounds unbelievable. That time of year, the sing-songy, family-gathery, baked goodsy season, and Wendy's went and made the Frosty of your holiday-y dreams. It's a Snickerdoodle Cookie Frosty fusion made with swirls of sweet, gooey Snickerdoodle sauce and chunks of cinnamony Snickerdoodle cookies. It's full-on cookie nostalgia, so preheat those mouth ovens because the Snickerdoodle Cookie Frosty fusion is here, and it's seriously delicious. The iconic Frosty mix with the sweet Snickerdoodle cookies, it's got to be Wendy's. Tom in Cedarburg, you are going to lead us off, but first we're going to take a break on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Welcome back, Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Tommy Wirtz in for Steve Sparky Pfeiffer. Charlie Usen here, as he always is, helping me out too on the ones and twos. The question going into the break: do you still feel the Packers can win the NFC North without Micah Parsons? Nicolay Law talking text line 414-677-1250 if you want to be a part of the conversation, like my guy Tom in Cedarburg. Tom, how are we doing today?
Good. How are you guys?
I'm doing very well, Tom. The question: you still got faith in this Packers team without Micah Parsons to win the North?
I don't have as much faith as I had before, but I think that we have to realize, maybe consider one thing. How are the Bears going to prepare for this defense now? And I read a Journal Sentinel article this morning that said that before the season, before they traded for Parsons, Halfley was ready to unleash Edgerrin Cooper. And I think in a lot of ways, you can't replace him with one single person, but you can certainly scheme it, and it's going to be up to Halfley to decide that. And don't discount the Bears even underestimating him now. And what have the Bears proven other than their good record, over the last few years? So yeah. I'm not totally confident, guys, but Parsons is gone, and sometimes players jump at that opportunity. A lot of people have been talking about Rashawn Gary, but what about Cooper? What about number 55? I mean, you might see a totally different scheme.
Completely agree. Completely agree with you, Tom. Thanks for the call. Have a good one. Tom in Cedarburg jumping off there. Still has faith, expects changes. And let's continue on the Nicolay Law talking text line 414-677-1250. Do you still feel that the Packers can win the NFC North without Micah Parsons? Tristan on the north side of Milwaukee. How are we doing, Tristan?
I'm good. Thanks for taking my call.
Absolutely. The question for you, what do you got for me?
I love you guys. You guys are great, but come on. What kind of question is that? Hell yeah, we can win the North. We're going to win the North. We're not the Green Bay Micah Parsons. It's a big loss, but we're going to overcome this. We're going to win the North, and we're going to make a run to the Super Bowl. We can do this.
Who are you relying on? Who are you going to rely on? Just curiosity. No confrontation. Curiosity. Who the Packers win the NFC North because, and then what's the answer on the other side of it?
Love's going to turn it on.
Yeah.
But not only that, on the defensive side, Halfley's a smart guy. He's going to figure it out. He's going to scheme some things up. Like you said earlier, we were the Packers before Parsons, and he had a plan. Parsons has been great. He's been allowing it to rush for, but without him, we're still a great team. And he's going to get creative, and we're going to fight through this. And this is going to be 2010 repeat.
Okay, I like it. Tristan, I'm on your side. I'm rooting for it, man.
Right.
I want to.
This.
But
yesterday was a day of mourning. Today is a day of hope.
Oh, all right. Yeah, today is a gift. That's why they call it the present, Tristan. All right, have a good one, my man.
You too. Thanks for taking it.
Yeah, Tristan on the north side of Milwaukee. Look, we post this question because we want to gauge where you guys are at, not because I know Charlie is probably over there like, oh gosh, they never could win the NFC North because the Bears were always more awesomer than them.
I've been more positive about the Packers in this building than any of the Packers fans have been since the Micah Parsons injury.
Continuing on, Johnny on the north side of Milwaukee. You're on Wisconsin Sports Daily. What's going on, Johnny?
How you feeling today?
I'm doing well. Can the Packers still win the North without Micah Parsons, Johnny?
Most definitely. And I say that because schematically, of course, Parsons getting injured, you didn't get better. You don't get better by that. But if you look at the whole scope of the Packers defense, what I've seen is a lot of dinking and dunking. You move down the field. That's how teams have been, I don't think Parsons changes that. He never changed that in.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say is the way you beat the Packers for teams that we play, that does not dramatically change. Parsons being out, the way the teams are going to play the Packers that doesn't change like that anymore.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
they I know he was getting chipped in, but he wasn't getting triple teamed and things like that. He gets to the quarterback from time to time. He wasn't having a record breaking sack season, so to speak. Like I just feel like
Johnny,
too much on this.
Johnny,
Yeah.
I have a question. Let's go back. Let's rewind about a year and change. You remember week 2 and week 3 of the Green Bay Packers season last year, right?
Yep,
When
yep.
Jordan Love goes out at the end of game 1 and Malik Willis comes in for those 2 games. You remember him, Johnny?
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
It allowed Matt LaFleur or forced Matt LaFleur to be more creative, right? Is there an avenue where you could see that same thing happening with Jeff Hafley, and maybe he schemes something up because you have that much faith he's that good of a defensive coordinator? It could force him to be more creative.
That was going to be the second part of what I was going to get to. What I'm saying is, what was the plan before Parsons got here? What was the plan about
win without him, right?
Yeah, we was going like, and it was what was the expectations prior to that? I don't think I know. Like I say, it's Micah Parsons. You don't get better if he goes out, of course. But I don't think not for 1 second that the goal changes at all with this team. Like you have the players there. This team, the offense is kind of I feel like the defense complemented the offense. They both had games where they both were very suspect to me. Like, the defense wasn't shut down, if you know what I mean. Like I've seen quarterbacks move the ball on the Packers with Parsons in there.
Yeah.
I've seen it. So I don't think that it's just out the realm of possibility, like everybody's saying that, the Packers are just done Parsons out.
Sure.
Oh, this team, Hafley, especially with all these head coaching headlines he may be going to the Giants, we'll get paid then, Hafley, is what I'm saying.
And prove it without Micah Parsons, right?
Yeah,
right, Johnny?
yep.
Have a good rest of your night, Johnny. Thanks for the call, my man. There he is, Johnny on the north side of Milwaukee. Charlie, you made a face.
I hate the Malik Willis conversations,
well, dude, I'm not. First of all, if you call in 414-677-1250 and you say Malik Willis's name, I'm gonna hang up. All right, like the Nicolay Law talking text line. I'm over the Malik Willis conversations, but I didn't say it as far as a Malik Willis conversation. I'm looking at it from a coaching conversation with this. Last year, Charlie, the only reason we have Malik Willis conversations ever on these airwaves is because last year, maybe some of the best coaching Matt LaFleur has ever done in his life against Malik Willis
against 2 really poorly coached teams.
Garbage teams.
The Jacksonville Jaguars, or the Tennessee Titans, and the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah,
those were the 2 games.
The Colts and the Titans, right? Will Levis and not Phillip Rivers.
I mean, I get where you're coming from, but those are also still 2 very different situations, even beyond the teams that they're playing. First of all, the Malik Willis situation happens very early in the season for the Green Bay Packers before they've fully kind of instilled their offensive game plan. Every team, no matter how many times you've run that offense throughout your career, they still take a little bit of a period to get everybody kind of on the same page. And it's easier to kind of backtrack in that game plan when you haven't fully installed it all the way at that point. I think that helped Malik Willis out. And I think right now, in this whole discussion of, people were excited about this defense before the season. Jeff Hafley had a plan. He was talking about how he was going to get Edgier and Cooper involved. Guys, you don't make a Micah Parsons trade unless you don't feel comfortable in your defense. Like,
Sure.
I'm sorry. If you felt comfortable in your defense, you don't go make a blockbuster trade like that. Jeff Hafley can be as excited as he sounds in his press conference. He really gets you fired up. He knows how to talk like a football coach. But at the same time, I think there's got to be a little bit behind that he is not as confident enough to allow this team, or at least talk with this team about making that trade. And now that we're later in this season with this Micah Parsons team and the defense kind of fully at its peak at this point, now you're fully backtracking with taking out a Micah Parsons. This isn't 3 weeks into the season where you don't have your full defense installed, and it's easier to take that backtrack. Now you're taking a huge backtrack. Yeah, expectations before the season were that you can win the North. Now it's expectations that you can win the North with Micah Parsons on your team because you made that the expectation. It's hard to reset those expectations this late in the year.
Understandably, it's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Tommy Wirtz in for Steve Sparky Pfeiffer. Charlie Usen still here along for the ride as well. And I'm not saying that this is how Green Bay comes out on the other side. But again, looking at the example of when Jordan Love was out and what Matt LaFleur's creativity explored afterwards, that was a positive. It was a positive. Look at how much Malik Willis talk there is all the time when Jordan Love is not on his game. There's always Malik Willis conversation.
At least 3 or 4 people come out of the floor.
Always. There are so many Malik Willis truthers out there that it's probably not healthy. But that is a scenario that no one is talking about, where if Jeff Hafley is this guy who is going to get a head coaching job because of his defensive production and his tenure with the Green Bay Packers as the defensive coordinator, he's already got head coaching experience at the college level and hopefully makes the transition to the NFL like nothing. But it would solidify him a job that if he is able to draw up a more creative or different defensive scheme to go face a team that he just faced 2 weeks ago without his best player, maybe without his second best player if Evan Williams isn't there, and debating on whether or not he is the second best player on the defense, but 2 of his top 4 defensive players in my mind. That is the golden ticket for Jeff Hafley on a coaching job, right? Is what he can do now without Micah Parsons during this stretch. The Packers defense this year, again, there's been a lot of positives on what Mike has been able to do, what Evan Williams has been able to do, what the jump of Quay Walker's game has become, and what Edgerrin Cooper can be. Everyone saw it last year. There is also a lot to be decided about with this cornerback game. Should they have went out and done something in that room? Was Nate Hobbs a terrible pickup and no one was ready for that to be the case? Xavier McKinney, did he regress, or is he not getting targeted as much? Like, whatever it is, like, there are question marks about Jeff Hafley's defense still. It was not the 2000 Ravens. It was not the 85 Bears for Jeff Hafley.
Well, the Broncos are the 85 Bears, according to the broadcast.
Correct. It's not the best defense in the NFL. It wasn't with Micah Parsons, quite frankly. So now you are forced to get in your bag of tricks. And I think that Jeff Hafley is up for that challenge. And if he wants to be a head coach in this league, this is his first test. It really is. It feels like it. Or at least a what have you done for me lately league. It's the most important test he's taken so far.
I guess. I just think from my perspective, I look at what Jeff Hafley has done throughout a majority of this season, and I would say that there are going to be a few teams that are going to call him about being a head coach no matter what happens in these last 3 weeks. And I think it almost helps him that to some degree, Micah Parsons isn't on the field. He can just lay back on that excuse if everything falls apart for some reason. Say, listen, man, I planned my whole team, my whole defense around this guy, and now we had to quickly figure it out against one of the best teams in the NFC and 2 probably pretty tough opponents after that. This is a situation where, yes, I think Jeff Hafley, you're right, can catapult himself to the top of a lot of people's lists, but he's also, I guess, not going to go out there and over risk it because he's still sitting there in the top 4 of a lot of people's lists.
Couple of updates here in regards to some words said down at 1265. Josh Jacobs from Ryan Wood walking with a significant limp in the locker room, wearing a stimulation bracelet around his injured knee. However, makes it clear he intends to play in Chicago. Quote, "For me, it's harder to watch games than to play hurt." You feel about those comments from Josh Jacobs?
Pretty hard to watch you play hurt, though, from a fan's perspective.
That's a good point. That is a good point. Other injury update, however, from Adam Schefter. You heard the name before?
A couple times, yeah. Bears
listed wide receiver Rome Odunze and Luther Burden as non-participants in today's practice. Rome, has he missed the last 2 games?
Last 2 games, yep, with that foot contusion.
And Luther Burden was
questionable at the end of the last game. He played a majority of it, but both those players, like a non-participant in this first practice of the week for a lot of those guys, like contact practice isn't that big of a deal in my mind. It's when you get to these next 2 days that's going to matter.
If those 2 guys both didn't play, how do you feel about the game?
That's a tough one. DJ Moore looked pretty damn good. They found a way to scheme him up. They love their tight end duo there. I mean, they still have 3 weapons in that pass game and 2 great running backs.
Is there a part of you that wishes they didn't make the DJ Moore trade?
Yeah, I think so.
Because it's like, well, now I have Luther Burden and Roma Dunze, who I would rather see on the field over DJ Moore.
Also, the embarrassment of riches. Isn't this what all the Packers fans were excited about the past 2 years?
Didn't they get the number 1 pick?
Yeah.
Like, because of that trade, too?
Yeah. That was pretty cool, dude.
Yeah. I mean, right now, I do still believe this Packers team can win the NFC North. And I don't know. I'm just some dumb guy that went to a dumb public school. The Packers are the 7th seed, 9-4-1, right? Correct, Charlie?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
The Bears are the 2nd seed at 10-4.
Mm-hmm.
Still following?
Yep.
The Bears have a 74% chance to make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the Packers have an 88% chance to make the playoffs. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. I know why, because the Lions match up at the end of the year. There's like a control your own destiny.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously the Packers playing the Bears and the Packers having tiebreakers over the Lions. Like, so I get why, but I don't like the math of that.
No, but if Saturday rolls around and the Bears come out and do play like they did last week and the Packers struggle a little bit, those odds are just going to immediately flip. It'll probably be just Bears 95% to a Packers 66%. It's going to be a bigger flip that way when we get to that point.
Yeah. I mean, I still just like the math. It makes sense that the Packers are going to make.
That's why I'm in sports radio.
Yeah, dude. I can't even imagine. I don't think I've ever been asked anything math related for like 10 years almost now. 8 years.
I could do some addition at my other work when I'm counting like the drawers afterwards. That's what a calculator's for, dude.
No, I'd fire you. I wouldn't even let you come near the cash register. Are you kidding me? If you worked in sports radio, you're not in accounting. You're just done. You've disqualified yourself from accounting for the rest of life.
I'm the best damn counter in that place, man.
I'm sure you are. I am sure you are. We got one more segment here. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Tommy Wurtson for Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, along with Charlie Usen on the ride to Potawatomi Sportsbook. Just want to continue to plug that and how awesome it is over there. On Friday, I'm sure when everyone's out at the Brat Bowl in Kenosha, brought to you by Siegler Subaru of Kenosha. Austin Herdina is going to join the show, as he always does, from the Potawatomi Sportsbook. And it is always just a breathtaking backdrop. They got so many screens. I don't even know the exact number. I would guess it's over 30. I mean, just a whole bunch of screens, 2,000 square foot in there. It's awesome. You got to go check out all your favorite sporting events. Sundays are always busy, great atmosphere. If you're into the betting culture, everyone's riding high, trying to root for their bets along the way. The UFC pay-per-views, also a massive night for them, in which they do some great work over there. Go check it out over at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Could get yourself a John Kuhn platter even now, teammate of ours. It's got like every food they have, it feels like.
You and Mitch were too scared to get it. You made excuses about it.
Dude, I'm on this diet, man. It's just like I've had 3 people ask me if I've lost weight. So that is not a nothing. And I couldn't be any unhappier about the situation. Like I just want to be able to eat whatever I want to eat. I haven't had bread in 6 weeks. I haven't had a piece of bread.
I love bread,
man. Dude, bread is the best. Like, I haven't had a sandwich in 6 weeks. Charlie, how's the longest stretch of your life you haven't had a sandwich?
I have a sandwich like every other day.
Every other day, man. I can't believe it, but I guess it's working. So when someone makes mozzarella sticks without the breading, I'll eat it, I guess.
Mozzarella sticks in the microwave for you if you want.
Just go from there. Just string cheese, heat it up, I guess.
We wrap in some lettuce or something.
It's dumb. Things Sparky missed. On the other side, Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's.
What story did Sparky miss talking about today on Wisconsin Sports Daily? Don't you worry. Sparky's got you covered now. Don't miss Milwaukee Admirals hockey this season. Don't just buy tickets. Invest in memories at MilwaukeeAdmirals.com.
Time for things Sparky missed. I am Sparky today. Tommy Wirtz, that is, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, along with Big Chuck. Charlie Hughes in here with us as well. Things that we missed, and I don't know if they've gotten enough traction or not. Fun fact, Ty Windisch, we didn't bring it up when he was on the show, but he did tweet out how Ryan Rollins is getting his high school jersey number retired at Dakota High School in Michigan today. Something to bring up with some Bucks conversation. I know we were thinking about it for a topic, Charlie, but Christian Allegro as well, entering the transfer portal. That comes from a day or two ago. And Charlie, I don't care. I understand that he had a hell of a second half and he was playing with the broken arm.
You fired up in the second half of the season enough, like, because you had the same mentality last year too. At the end of the season, you're like, everybody can go. I don't care.
Right, because if the team stinks, go ahead, leave the team. Like, you want the same guys on the team who wasn't good going from there.
Like you need some of those guys.
There was two guys that you were not allowed to let leave the program, and they played the same position, and they were 18 years old, and their names were Cooper Catalano and Mason Posa. Those two guys stay, victory. Anyone else off the team, see ya, bye. Like,
you don't even want to see what like Eugene Hilton Jr. can do for like a full season of actual playing time.
No, I think
Carter
actually
Smith maybe getting another chance at all.
Absolutely not. I kind of hope Carter Smith enters the portal. Like, I have no problem. I'm waiting for that. I'm refreshing all of our Badger beat writers, Nick Osen, Andrew Banstra, Dylan Graff, whoever it is that come on, like John McNamara, like, go ahead, refresh, like, waiting for that Carter Smith news that he hit the portal, which I don't think it's going to happen, but waiting for sure. Posta and Catalano stay, then I'm okay. Didn't bother me at all. Last year, I was way harsher. I said 0 players can stay.
You didn't want anybody to come
No,
back.
the team stinks. I don't want the team. Texas Tech is the prime example of you can make a bad team a good team overnight in college football now if you spend unlimited money. I know the Badgers aren't going to spend unlimited money. Indiana did a great job of it as well, too. Man, remember when Fernando Mendoza had the Badgers on a short list?
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
That was awesome. That would have been so cool. Imagine just the guy.
You called him a weirdo the other day, so I don't know if you really even like him.
He's kind of a weirdo. He's kind of a weirdo. I'm not. He might be a robot. Maybe that's why I think he's a weirdo.
More or less of a weirdo than Diego Pavia.
Way less of a weirdo.
Diego Pavia is a weirdo.
No, Diego Pavia is against the grain. Diego Pavia is a weirdo in the way Johnny Manziel was a weirdo.
Oh, I see.
Right? Which you either loved him or you hated him. Fernando Mendoza is like Andy Herman weirdo, where it's like, why are you always so happy? Why are you like just in such a good mood all the time? Like, no one is that happy all the time. So that's why I think he's a weirdo.
I see.
And that's just me being a hater and a person who is like not happy 100% of the time and okay with it. Like, I live in the uncomfortable realm and I thrive on it. Like, I want to be off a little bit, just a little bit. Like, I still choose joy and I laugh every day.
It gives you room to get happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Right. Right. Like, I want my day can't be made if I am just feeling like Fernando Mendoza all the time.
Fair enough.
You know what I mean?
Only get worse,
so it can only get worse. Your days can only get worse. He is the first ever Heisman Trophy winner from the University of Indiana. Did you see was it Adidas ad for it?
I did not know.
He is Mendoza. Heisman spelled with he is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess.
No, not a fan.
It's okay. I
Don't
guess.
care.
It's all right. Like I'm not in love with that.
All right.
If it takes me a second to think about it. I don't love it, dude.
Well, not good at math or spelling, it looks like here, Charlie.
Good talking, baby.
Yeah.
That's it.
Wait till we get hooked on phonics next week on the show. Cooper Flagg also, I thought, was enough to bring into something that we missed. 42 points, the only 18-year-old ever dropped 40 in a game. And the list of the highest scoring performances by 18-year-olds, it is covered in Cooper Flagg and this some guy named LeBron James all over this list. Dude's kind of insane, Charlie.
I was gonna say Brandon Jennings would be a little too old for that, right?
Well,
when he came in?
yeah,
he had his 55 in his.
He went to college for a year, but then he went to Europe after that, I think it was, or something like that. Like he went and enrolled early, but he did like start at college and then go. I forget how it was. Brandon Jennings, it was his 7th career game. I knew that much when he put up 55 points, but we never got that ever again.
It would be nice, like for Cooper Flagg's sake, if they didn't lose that game to Utah then too in overtime.
Yeah, I know. But it's the most points ever scored by an 18-year-old in history. That's got to be worth something. You got anything else?
Do you feel like just a question off Cooper Flagg now? Do you feel like he's getting talked about enough as like this number 1 pick, this guy that's been as amazing as he has been?
Is he getting talked about more than Cam Ward's being talked about?
That's a great comparison because Cam Ward doesn't get talked about, and he's having a great season despite his team being awful. Like there's no talent on that team.
Unfortunately, you're the quarterback. You get judged based on performance. Right. Like, dude, I tried telling everyone at the beginning of the year that Justin Herbert and Trevor Lawrence are the same player. And now that Trevor Lawrence is 9-4, everyone's like, oh, are they the same player? Are they the exact same player? Yeah, they are. 6 touchdowns this week, by the way, for Trevor
Lawrence.
Lawrence.
Good. If the exact same player just ends up being a pretty good quarterback, above average, above better than good, I mean, that's not a bad thing.
I didn't want it to feel complimentary to Justin Herbert, but I mean, kind of. If Trevor Lawrence has to play up to prove the point, I'll take it. That's going to do it for us here, Wisconsin Sports Daily. We got Wisconsin Sports Wrap-Up coming up. I got a couple great interviews for you guys to play back from earlier in the day. Big Chuck, thank you so much.
Of course, thank you.
Everyone, have a good rest of your night. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Let's do it again tomorrow, Wisconsin.